I remember when we got to France to play. There was like a McDonald's right down the street. You know how the McDonald's in Europe are fire.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
So they're like gourmet restaurants for some.
Yes.
So we were going through the drive-through early, and we're trying to order in English. It's kind of a smaller town, so they weren't that great. But Gabby goes, "Yeah," and then can I get a side of French fries? And there was like silence on the other end, and they were like, "You don't have to call them French fries here." She was like, "Oh, that's weird." Then the next time she went, she was trying to like speak like broken English so that they could understand her, and the guy went silent again. He goes, "Yeah, I speak perfect English. You're good." She's like, "You could have told me that earlier instead of waiting." But
But
all right, Eugene,
yes,
better known as Pooh Jeter.
yes.
Welcome to the show. This is I'm gonna do the intro,
All right.
intro you a little bit, intro us a little bit, and then we're gonna just jump right into it because I know you're a busy man with a lot of things going on.
Woo.
Um, this is Eric Mika. I'm the host of the Now for Later podcast. Today we have one of my teammates from this last year with G League Ignite, Eugene Pooh Jeter, better
Yes.
known as Pooh Jeter, who's an absolute legend in the basketball world, a legend in LA. I call him the king of LA. In case you don't know, he's from LA. Pooh had a 17-year pro career, played all over the world. We'll get into exactly where. Um, and now he's getting into some really cool things post career that, of course, we're also going to get into. But super, super excited. Pooh has a story that is extremely relatable, I think, to a lot of young hoopers, a lot of young athletes. So we're grateful and we're excited to be here with Pooh.
My guy, Mika. Hey, Mika. Like I told you back in when we went to Phoenix, was that last October?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, Mika, man, when I had you to come on, down in the room, I said, hey, bro, come on, like join this podcast.
Yeah, the
Uh,
fake podcast.
Come join this podcast with me, and we start interviewing our players. I said, bro, you are going to be perfect at this. Like,
That's true.
that's your personality.
Pooh was my first fan. What he's referring to is we went to Phoenix for like a training camp with Ignite, and what was it? It was the like global sports business school that
Right.
like our program is connected to, and they do some classes to there. So they hosted us, and they were actually talking about kind of what we're going to talk about, like potential future careers, and they're like, yeah, podcasting, broadcasting. One of the professors and operations people there, her dad played in the NFL for a long time. He actually grew up in LA too.
Actually, yes, and it's actually Marcus Graves' neighbor.
Yeah, super random. He's like, is that Marcus Graves right there? And he's a commentator now with, who was it, CBS?
Yes, with CBS.
Been for a long time.
Yeah,
So then we kind of started practicing, and Pooh was chosen as like the hypothetical podcast host, and then he brought me down as the co-host, and we had an absolute blast. And that's where honestly where it all started. Like that's the first time. My cousin and I always joked about doing one. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but that was like the first time that I was like, yeah, that actually would be fun. Obviously I was kind of doing like a character. I was doing a bit while I was up there, like exaggerating, but like it was super fun. And we should have gotten it going. We should have got a podcast, you and I. Nikki was trying to get us to do one, but
they were
I've
trying to
never.
find like different locations for us, like at the M, but nothing that like we didn't get the chance to do it.
I
So
think this next year we'll get one going. This next
I hope
season,
so.
or at least in conjunction with the one I'm already doing. Maybe they'll hop on and, I don't know, sponsor me.
That would be perfect.
There you go, sponsor me, Ignite. Okay, so Pooh. Pooh is from LA. He's the king of LA. Tell us about growing up, like where you're from, your family, what drew you to sports. Talk about your older sister a little bit. Like I want to get in to the nitty gritty details of Pooh Jeter growing up. Talk about getting the name Pooh too. I've
Yes.
actually never heard that story. Let's hear it all.
Well, thank you, my bro, for having me. And Mackenzie Hamilton, I see you out there too. Thank you,
Our
Mackenzie.
producer Mackenzie.
Yes. Hi everybody. My name is Eugene Pooh Jeter the third.
Oh,
Um,
third.
yes, third generation. I'm from Gardena, California. It's right inside LA County, next to Compton, Inglewood, Hawthorne. we're like the mini Vegas because of we have like casinos and
Mm.
strip clubs. I'm sorry if I could say that.
Hey, they're there.
That's they're there, like so it's like mini Vegas, like as people would think of it. But nah, so I got the name Pooh from my grandma.
Yeah.
After White, my mom's mom, rest in peace. She said I looked like a black Pooh bear when I was born, so it just stuck. Like
It's
so
amazing.
Pooh
You were
has
also grown with that hair and beard, or
yes,
you were
like
born with the hair
I
and beard.
came out like this,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
very. And and if you think about it, Pooh backwards is what? Hoop. That's what I do.
That's pretty good.
So it's like pretty. It was meant to be, right? Um, but definitely, grew up in Gardena. Started playing basketball at like 5 years old. Um, my dad, of course, was my first coach. And he gave me like the foundation. But I had a cousin that around the same age. His name is Justin Love. Pretty clever name, Just in Love. My auntie was pretty smooth with that. Like he was around the same age as myself, and I was really just trying to do everything he was doing.
Yeah.
You know, but he had it, man. He had his lefty with an incredible handle. Then I had another cousin, older cousin named Ken Horton, who used to just take me to the runs to like hoop against adults, right? But I stayed in my front yard, bro. Like 6 in the mornings, it didn't matter, man. Like I was out there just hooping, just trying to see if this was it. But also at the same time, I was playing baseball and other sports, right? So, you know, as I started, playing at Dinker Park, it's like in South Central. My home park was like Raleigh Park, but uh, the program director or the director of Park and Recs for Dinker. He stayed across the street from me, which was ended up being like my best friend's dad.
Yeah.
His name was Booby, rest in peace. He was the director at Dinker Park. So at 6, I started just playing at Dinker, baseball and basketball. Dinker Park Hawks, Dinker Park Dodgers, and my dad was our coach. And I started like really like playing real well against other park and recs. Then uh, by the time of age of 11, and I got introduced to Dart Stamps, who it was like one of the he had a Nike team, right? So at this time it was the VBA, which was a Nike squad. Well, actually it was PTI. Then it became like VBA. So you remember like Pat Barrett?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Pat Barrett. He had Tyson Chandler and all them. So him and Dart was together, but they separated. And Pat started Southern California All Stars, which was SCA, and Dart had VBA. Then it turned into TPI. Um, so I started playing with Nike. Then started like really like getting out there. Going to nationals. We went to Salt Lake City.
Shout out
Uh,
Salt Lake.
yep, in Utah. So like that was like the sixth graders.
Yeah,
Then seventh graders, AAU was like in Memphis. Um, but then eighth grade, I didn't get a chance to go to Orlando because I had to go to summer school.
mm,
Like all the incoming freshmen to high school, they had to go to summer school, right?
yeah.
At Sarah High School in Gardena. So the beauty of me going to Sarah, I don't think people really know that. Like I played on the freshman team, right? Even though I was like one of the best point guards out the city. The head coach at the time, Dewan Hurt, rest in peace. He played in the backcourt with John Stockton at Gonzaga,
Oh
like
wow,
incredible.
that's super.
And so I couldn't play varsity because of the amount of players he had on the seniors he had, and he didn't want me to play JV because the JV coach was a baseball coach and he didn't have like his foundation. But he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna have you play on the freshman team because the coaches, Tyler Verne and Eric Reed, those are his former players." So he was like, "Yo, I want you to play on this squad. Just go out there and play, experience. But you're gonna be learning so much of my systems from my former players." So like the freshman team, we practice at what 3 o'clock,
Yeah,
and like right after school. Then sometimes I will be able to practice with the varsity squad, like later on at night, like around 6 or 7. So I used to like really be at the school all day. Um, so I had a great freshman year.
that's actually sorry to cut you off, but that's actually super interesting because we actually had John on the show like 2 weeks ago. I mean, who knows the order this will be in? It'll probably all messed up. But when we talked to John, he literally said like his biggest thing for the youth teams that he's been involved with was get older players to come play our teams. Like so if he's coaching a high school team, like go get college guys and ex pros like to come beat up on the young guys so that that's how you rapidly get better. So I thought it was cool that like his college teammate, told you the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Continue. I mean, awesome.
so imagine like you're on a freshman team, and then you get moved up to varsity, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like I got moved up, probably with a couple of JV guys. I think
But
it
you
was
were ready. I mean, because you had
yeah,
been playing against.
everybody knew I was like coming out of like 8th grade, like as one of the best, point guards in the city. But
Yeah.
just like just the circumstances were well, not really circumstances, but it was like, yo, like come over here and play. You gotta play freshmen. But then got moved up. So like you gotta think now, like how many like good players coming out of high school and like going to high school now, like are like going to be mad about playing JV,
Right.
And like
Because they want to
everybody's
be
supposed
they want to
to
be
go
on
straight to
varsity
varsity.
and ranked like from when they're 14 years old.
Right. And at this time, 9th, 10th grade, you can't even talk to college coaches at all,
Right.
so but so got moved up. We ended up winning like CIF my freshman year and sophomore year. I scored in the championship game off a floater, like it was amazing. Like
That's big time.
ran around the gym. At this time I'm probably like 5'4",
Yeah.
like but then got to, of course, my sophomore year, play varsity, but was never like ranked nationally, right?
Yeah.
Didn't play AAU because it was so much politics in the game, because of probably my height or who knows, but it was always something, right? But going into my junior year, we played Dominguez, and this is like when I started like really getting on the map. We played Dominguez in the summer, and I had like 40 points, and I was like Tyson Chandler team, but Tyson didn't play, but everybody else played.
Yeah.
And like then I got ranked like top 5 point guard on the West Coast
Oh,
from
cool.
that game.
Yeah.
And at this time, like it was still politics, trying to play AAU. Like I did like go to Peach Jam, but I was just like doing what I'm doing in share, just on the bench,
Yeah.
right? Just and sharing. And my high school coach was like, "Hey, we're not doing AAU no more. We're not doing that." So this is the time now that I started getting with pro players, like how you just saying with like what John was saying about, like I started training with like Mil Palacio. He played for the Jazz, right? So I started because he's an alumni of my school. So Coach Hurt, he made sure that Milt was coming back, and like, getting me in all his workouts. Then I started being more connected with Lucius Harris. So Lucius Harris' best friend is my cousin. His name is Solo. Solo is Franklin from Grand Theft Auto. Like crazy. Like this is my cousin. So at this time, in 2000, right, I started like really getting with like Mil Palacio, Lucius Harris, then of course the Godfather of LA basketball, which is Baron Davis. Baron Davis was somebody who I knew since I was 11, and he always was coming back in the community like to really like get the ones up next. So
Yeah.
like
That's
I
cool.
was around pros, and of course Jason Hart,
Yeah.
right, who was our coach. So
Coach.
I was around four players who were pro. I was around 4 pro players,
Yeah.
right? So imagine the type of information I was getting at this early age and not playing AAU. I was really just playing with my high school basketball team. And then I didn't go to Nike camp or ABCD. I didn't go to those. I went to Superstar camp going into my junior year. Going into my senior year, I went to Superstar camp, and that's where University of Portland saw me, Coach Rich Wold.
Yeah.
And then I started getting more and more attention, playing high school basketball.
Right. I think what you hit on is super interesting to go along with what it sounds like kind of the route you took, the route that John likes to take with his kids. Like you had people in your ear, but they were pros and they actually knew what they were talking about. Like no, of course, no disrespect to parents and AU programs. Obviously, there's a lot of good people and good things out there, but a lot of times they don't know what they're talking about. and what they're doing. So you kind of removing yourself from AAU, you were getting advice like you would have been in AAU or within a program, but it was the right advice because these guys, like those pros, they didn't have any like agenda talking to like a high school kid. Like they're not trying to make money off of you. They're not trying to do a favor for someone else. Like they were just there to help. So I think that's also very unique that you had access to these pros,
Right.
but also obviously made a huge effect and impact on you and your game and therefore your very very long career.
Right.
It was pretty
And that's the beauty of it. Is you gotta be around people who have done what you're trying to do. Like that's the goal, right? I remember it's like a Bible verse that said like a generous person will always prosper. Like he who refreshes others will be refreshed, right? And it's like, look what they were doing. Like they were refreshing me, right? Which gave me the mindset, at an early age, like, oh, okay, when I get to their age, I have to do that, right? Because if it worked for me, a person who wasn't even ranked or nothing like that, right? Like I need to go back into my community and do the same thing that they're doing. And that's the
right.
same thing we're doing with Ignite.
You kind of touched on like you weren't very big. You were 5'4".
Yeah. But
Uh,
I was big in my heart.
no, talk about that though. Like, because you had to work that much harder to get like attention from schools. There were the politics that you had to fight with AAU. Like a lot of kids listening to this aren't like the quote unquote like prototypical NBA size, right?
Right.
Nor were you. Yet you played in the NBA. Like I'm sure people are going to want to hear about that.
Yeah, so like definitely, with like Nate Robinson, I believe I think he was the first person I saw with the like heart over height, right? Like that thing is like so true. So mind you, in high school as well though, every time I was getting sick, I used to get sick in like December, and next thing I know was like that's when I would start growing, and I used to like I couldn't wait for December. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, like December, come, like when is it?
Like clockwork.
Like so like then I grow like I think I graduated like probably like 5'8",
Yeah.
right? And it was a girl. It was a girl when I was a freshman. She would not date me because I was small. So you can ask people in my school. I went to a Catholic school, and like homeroom, we used to always pray, and like I used to be like, Lord, please let me grow. I need to grow, Lord, please. And I used to say this every day, and I think like by me like getting sick allow me like to sleep more or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
But my prayers was answered. So,
It's
but now
amazing.
that's the main thing, right? About life is you experience so much, and I really believe I'm a messenger and servant, right? So, you experience so much not to keep it. Like you were supposed to keep sharing and sharing, because that's how the youth. The goal is for them to be better than us.
Right. So how do you go? So share this part, right? How do you go from graduating high school 5'8" to what was it? You played 4 years in college. We'll get into this later, but you played 4 years in college, and then your fifth year pro. So 9 years later, you played in the NBA. Like
Right.
connect the dots. Like
Yes.
and
So like.
hire that next kid that's 5'8".
Yeah, bro. So once you go through so much, like especially like things that you love, like nothing's probably gonna phase you, right? And like I tell all the youngins, like, yo, people are gonna write those same writers, they're gonna write great things about you and they're gonna write bad things about you. Like everybody's gonna have that certain type of opinion on you. But as long as you don't believe it, you feel me? Like let them just, man, whatever. Like say what you want to say, but I don't believe that. Like especially like I really give credit to God, man. I have a strong foundation, and I really believe that the Spirit of God is fully and powerfully upon me. Like I really do, bro.
It's awesome.
And by having that type of mindset, like man, if God is with me, whoever's against me is not gonna prosper, bro. Like for real, like. And I took that mindset, like I still have that mindset to this day. Like, man, whatever happens. I don't like I can only control what I can control, but I just make sure and I hope that each step that I take, is with like the step of peace at least, like
Yeah.
right.
No,
And
that's awesome. It sounds like a big part of it was like an internal narrative you had. Like doesn't matter my size, doesn't matter
yes.
what people say I can't do. Like it matters what I'm telling myself I can do. Actually, today I was working out with Josh Nielsen, our friend.
Oh, Josh,
Josh,
hi.
legend, the legend, Josh.
I
And
would love to see that work out.
He has a gym. Yeah. No, for the record, Josh was rebounding for me. He was not working out. He'll try and convince you
Oh, he
otherwise.
was definitely convinced me like
Yeah.
he worked out for sure.
No, he'll spin the story. But I got to my last shooting spot and I was shooting well all day. And then I just kind of had this drop off. I'm sure it was like, I wasn't locked in. And, I started getting mad and yelling and, kind of crying about it. And then he like stopped me and he's like, dude, your internal narrative has to change. He's like, what is, swearing or saying like you suck right now or like what's going like, he's like, that's not going to do anything.
Right.
Like you gotta remind yourself who you are and like what you do.
Right.
That's how you start making shots. So I think it's cool. It sounds like, you understood that from a young age and it got to where, got you to where you are now.
Right.
Let's jump to now. Tell me if I'm wrong on anything here. I don't think I am because I didn't just do a Wikipedia search. I heard all the stories this year. I heard them all. Pooh can tell a story, that's for sure.
Yes.
You went to Portland for 4 years. You were all WCC, and the digging did help me here. I have some notes. I did know you were second all time in scoring.
Booyah.
Who's first, by the way?
First is Jose Slaughter. That's like my big homie from like LA. He's from LA too. Like,
of course he is. Who isn't?
Yeah.
First in free throw percentage, and then your top.
We love free throws.
3 points, baby. And then I wish I had that. I'd have probably 100,000 more points in my career. And then you were top 10 in field goals made. You were fifth. 3-pointers second. 3-point percentage 8th. Free throws made third. Assists 6th, and steals third. I mean, you cleaned up at U of P.
Yes.
You had a nice solid career. You went undrafted. What draft? Who was the top 3 in that draft? Was it
in 2006? So this is 2006 draft. I believe was that Bargnani? Maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that was Bargnani. I think Brandon Roy was somewhere in that thing, and I forget, Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison was probably
from the Zags.
JJ Reddy. Yeah. So imagine like, oh, I didn't even like tell like the story. I'm sorry. So it's my senior year as you're researching. As it's my senior year for all the college, all the young players, like really watching this. It's my senior year, so now I'm like at high school. Now I'm like starting to get like real notice, right? So I had Gonzaga, St. Mary's, at like University of
Oh, I know
Montana.
where you're going with this. This is great. Yeah.
So like Gonzaga, like Coach Mark Few was coming to my games. But like I was in contact with Dan Dickauer, like Ronnie Terryoff, and like a lot of players. But Coach Few wanted to redshirt me. I was like, what? Like, first of all, I don't even know what red shirt means.
Yeah.
Like I'm at this time, I'm like, I don't know. Like a red shirt was basically like I'm from LA, so like somebody in a red shirt is like a blood. Like I'm like red shirt me. Like what are you
I only
talking
wear blue. No, I'm just kidding.
so at this time, I'm like, okay, well, this is what my high school coach is telling me. I was like, well, I don't want a red shirt, and University of Portland, head coach was Michael Holden, who was from Pasadena and played in the NBA. So I got the chance to learn from my high school coach who went to college, right, and was in a backcourt with John Stockton. So I learned from him for basically like 4 years. Then I go to University of Portland and learn from Coach Michael Holton, who played in the NBA. And they were both point guards. So that was like 8 years of information on top of me learning from the pro players. So like that the type of information I was getting from people, like really, helped me in my 17-year career, right? And then when I go to University of Portland my freshman year, we play Gonzaga. We beat them at Gonzaga and
In the kennel.
and every time I was shooting, I look at Coach Few like red shirt. Want to red shirt me? And that was my last time beating them.
Awesome.
Just to let y'all know. But I just wanted to say like how we talking about information. Like I was just around the right people.
Well, can you talk about? This is kind of a rabbit hole, but I actually do want to hear because I got to see you on the other side this year with Ignite. Trying to teach the young guys, right? Can you, before we continue talking about like all the places you played, I want to hear like you keep saying learn, like you learn for 4 years from this guy, then you learn for 4 years from that guy, and then you were learning from the pros. Like, how do you learn as like a young athlete versus just being like showing up and doing? Is it just the difference of doing the bare minimum versus doing the maximum? Like, how do you soak that all up and absorb like information like that? Because the information is out there. Back then, you had people, but nowadays you might not have access like in person to a pro athlete, but there's a lot of resources between like social media, between interviews, between like coaching clinics. Like, there's ways that young athletes can get this information. So how do they actually learn and apply it? Like, what's the difference there?
Right. I really with Ignite, man, like I look at our case, like we're the experienced players who's been where they're trying to go, right? And a lot of the times like even on through the internet, like how can they really get that type of information? Like so you look at Scoot, like I had Scoot for 2 years, right? And with Scoot, he was searching so much for the answer, for
Yeah,
the answers, right? So it's so long as like with Jaden Hardy and Dyson Daniels or Marjon Beauchamp, then you have City and Mojave and like Leonard Miller, right? Like you look at our prospects, they were like really asking questions and trying to get the answers,
yeah,
right? So if you have that mindset already of like, yo, like I don't know everything. I came here to get the answers,
yeah,
right? And once you have that type of like, okay, it's the difference between okay, listening and then understanding, right? And it takes time. Like even with Ignite, it takes so much time from the beginning, like as in like really like wow, like really trying to go through the experience like, so we know that we saw a total difference between the beginning and the end. Like Leonard Miller in the beginning was way different from the last 14, 15 games of the season, right? And it just like it clicks. Now, a lot of times too, like they don't really have a foundation and who knows what they've been taught, before they got to us. But it really comes into like, okay, I really, really want to learn. Here I am. Please teach me.
yeah. It's
And
like
that's the
it's a humility. Like, it starts with the humility and recognizing that I don't know everything. I think that's exactly right.
And like,
Um,
and the thing is, it is going to be some like fight back because they did get here,
right. Being
not
good.
knowing,
Yeah, yeah,
like they still got here, but it's like, okay, Leonard, you played the point guard and in whatever positions in high school, but you're gonna come here and be the
yeah.
like the 4-5,
But he had
you know?
something that clicked, and he was like, "Okay, these guys are actually right. I do need to get better. I do need to figure it out." So, like, he did. He had that humility, and he blew up. You know,
Right.
I think that's great. Okay, continuing with you, you went undrafted, 2006. You ended up playing 17 years professionally, which is unheard of. That's 3 times my career as it
Yeah,
stands. There's no way I'll ever make it that far.
we don't know that. You feel me?
I mean, we know that. You went D League. Before the G League, there was the D League. You went D League. You played in Ukraine. You played in Spain. You played in Israel. As I mentioned, your 5th year, you played with the Kings. Then you
Mhm.
went to Spain. You went to China. You went to France. Back to China. You played in Ukraine, and then the last 2 years with the G League.
Right.
Does that sound right?
Yes. So how about look at so mind you, okay, senior, I had a great senior at University of Portland,
Yeah.
right? I was like second in scoring behind Adam Morrison. About my 4-year career, like I never got out the first round of conference tournament, never. So even though I was doing good things individually, but my team wasn't winning, right? So I remember me being one of the top. I felt I was like they were telling me like I was like one of the top point guards on the West Coast at this time. Portsmouth comes right, and Coach Holden calls Marty Blake and who was like the director of the Portsmouth, and we're like, okay, hey Marty, I'm Coach Holden has his on speakerphone like Marty, we didn't get the invite. What's going on? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. We know about Pooh. Yeah, we know, but we just feel like Jamar Wilson from Rhode Island. I would never forget his name. I like for real. It's just
Harping.
better. We just feel like he's just better. And I'm like, dang, okay.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't know, Portsmouth is like the top seniors in the country. They go to this camp and
Play,
then they
get
play.
mixed up into teams and then play a tournament.
play in front of like all the NBA scouts, right? So I didn't go to that. So um, at this time, I graduate school, go back home and start working out with Rico Hines. Everybody knows Rico for his runs. So like in 2006, this is when he was beginning.
Yeah.
Like mind you, I was working out with him like my going into my junior and senior year of college because him and Baron Davis is my best friend. They're best friends, so we part of like this blood brother for life type of thing, right? So I go back home, start working out with him, uh, and in our workouts, like Ty was with Ty Ramazar, and
I know.
he had
He's my agent.
Ryan Hollins and like Jamal Williams. So like this is like our group, right? So uh, I worked out only for two teams, right? I worked out for the Lakers first, but then I went to so Ryan Hollins decided not to go to the combine. So he had his like own type of workouts instead of going to combine. And we go to Orlando. We work out like against another group. So Rico and David Thorpe are like the trainers. It's like 16 NBA scouts there. That was my first time meeting Draft Express, Jonathan Gavoni, and I think Mike was with him at this time, was another partner yet. And I had a great workout. Or I had a great workout. JG wrote some great things about me. I come back after that. I work out with the Kings, right? But I worked out with the Kings three times.
Wow.
Like I worked out with the
They just
Kings
kept
three
bringing you back.
times. Yeah, they just like the first workout I went against my boy Will Blaylock. He was like pretty high on the draft boards, um, and I outplayed him, in that workout. And at this time, they didn't have a coach, so the GM Jeff Petrie and Wayne Cooper they were doing the workouts. So I did extremely well. They called Todd. They was like, "Hey, wow, can he stay for another workout?"
Yeah.
And I didn't have nothing to do. I was like, all right, cool. So we in Sacramento. Did extremely well in that second workout. Go back home, train with Lauren Watkins. So my schedule, like when I was back home, bro, I was waking up at 6 in the morning doing strength, doing conditioning, like running the sand dunes or running on the beach or Kenneth Hahn. Then like that was be from 6 to 8. Then I go home, go eat breakfast. Then I go to UCLA, go work out with Rico from like 10 to 12. And Rico workouts is basically
Yeah. Tough.
conditioning and shooting, right? And then I go lift with Ty Person. Then Rico and I would go back to the gym and like work out.
Jeez.
So like my shape
Grinding.
was crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing that people should know if they get into any type of sports is conditioning is always number one. Like you have to be in shape.
You might be the fifth most skilled on the team or on the starting lineup, but if you're most in shape, you look the best.
Come on, because you're doing things. Imagine like it's like when are you getting tired? And if you are tired, you're like really being consistent with your form and your
That's
game.
awesome.
So, but the thing is, so I did that. They brought me back for a third workout. Did pretty good. They said, hey, if you don't get drafted, which we knew I wasn't gonna get drafted, right? If you don't get drafted, you can play on our summer league team. So I'm like, yes, I
Right. Yeah.
got a
That's a good
summer
win.
league team.
Right.
Got a summer league team. Cool, perfect. So go to summer league. They end up drafting like Quincy Doobie, which is I don't know if you do you remember Quincy Doobie? He went to Rutgers. But Ron Artest decided to play summer league with us. Kevin Martin, Francisco Garcia, Ronnie Price. Shout out Ronnie Price, Utah.
Utah, baby.
Yeah. So and then we had Lou Amundsen. We had some great players, right? So I'm like the backup guard on the squad, like because I impressed the GM and the assistant GM. Like so, like they was like, okay, Pooh is going to play, and did pretty well. So you already know how summer league goes. They play like like 3 to 4 games, so it's the last game. So none of the top players play. They like, hey Pooh, you gonna be the starting guard, this and that. All right, perfect, cool. Go out there, had like 20 points, 5 assists, six. I'll never forget 5 assists, 6 rebounds. Had a great game, and then a little after that, they say, you know what? We're going to give you a partial guarantee to go to camp. So, bro, like I had a partial guarantee to go to camp,
Right.
right?
Who work from having two teams work you out?
So then I'm going to training camp with the Sacramento Kings,
Right.
right? So that's how I tell people I know God is with me, bro. Like I know by me like really having this foundation, bro. Things started happening for me, right? So go to camp. I was the first cut, like I got a partial guarantee contract, so they gave me money to go to camp. Not that much money, right? So go to camp. Uh, I was cut. I was one of the first cuts, but I got a great relationship with Mike Bibby. And like Mike Bibby, like I was going to be his rook, this and that. Like, bro, it was crazy. Like, he flew me back to Sacramento, like the last preseason game, and like gave me like a fat like uh bling watch. Like, it was incredible.
You still
So
have
look, so like one thing I tell people, so I go to the D League, right? Um, so at this time, there's A, B, and C contract. A contract was 24, B contract was 18,000, and C contract was like 12,000. So 24,000, 18,000, and 12,000.
and you were a
Uh,
C contract.
I was supposed to be a B, but for me to be on the team with the Colorado 14ers, I ended up being a C contract. So that was 12,000, right? I wasn't tripping about the money. Like, I wasn't tripping at all. I just wanted to show the league and everybody else like I can play basketball. So it wasn't about the money. So I tell people all the time, it's like, yo, if you really love something, you really believe, man, it don't even matter how much it is. Like, just go out there and do what you do. As long as you have that belief, do what you do. And I ended up being an all-star. I ended up being like the best point guard in the D League that season.
Yeah.
And mind you, in February after the showcase, I was getting offers to go to Europe. Like Procom in Poland, it was like,
It blew your profile up for overseas.
yes. So like teams was like in February, like, oh, we'll give you 200,000 to finish out the season with us. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I just wasn't ready. Like, my goals was like, yo, like I'm gonna just finish this out, see if I get a call up. And I'm glad I didn't take it because my team ended up going to the championship. We freaking lost, to the North Dakota Wizards. But that's where like things started like really changing for me, like, when it came to the basketball. Like so I tell people, if you really believe in something, it's not about the money, right? Like, just go out there. The money's going to be there, but just go out there and show people
Yeah.
what you can do.
That's awesome. Now, transition to now. Obviously, I know, and a lot of people in the basketball world know, but anyone that's listening to this podcast, tell us what you're doing now, which is a recent development, right?
Yes.
And tell us what that job entails, and tell us how you got there from this last year at Ignite, because it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like, you're doing exactly what this podcast is about, right? Like,
Right.
you're hitting the ground running. You had something set up, so I want to hear about how you got it all set up and how it happened, how it came to be.
Right. So, okay. So Mike Schmitz became the assistant GM of the Portland Trailblazers, right? So imagine, guys, 17 years, 17 years,
Rewind,
17
remix.
years later, we get to now, right? Hey, so Mika, do you remember like the last game at South Bay? You was
Yep.
there, right?
Yeah.
And I told you guys, I said, oh guys, this may be my last home. This may be my last home game. I mean, my last game as a pro player, like, because when we were in Vegas, like probably a week before that, I had dinner with one of my friends, Mike Schmitz, who's assistant GM of the Blazers, right? So when he first got the job in October, November, or whatever, he told me, he said, "Bro, I'm gonna figure out a way for you to be a part of us." And when people say something like
Yeah.
stuff, like, okay, cool.
Cool.
Like I'm with Ignite. I'm the only player coach in basketball. I'm Pudanis Haslam of the G League. Come on, like,
Who came up
who
with that?
doesn't want to be Pudanis?
Was that you or was that Thomas?
No, that was my cousin J Love.
Okay.
And Thomas knows my cousin J Love. So
Gotcha.
I told these guys, hey yo, these guys J Love called me Pudanis Haslam. He said, oh my gosh, bro, I'm taking that. And Thomas, you should have. T. Scott, you should have gave J Love his credit. But so I had this meeting with Mike. We at SCK. He's like, hey, bro, we're at this moment. Let's try to figure out something. Like we gotta make sense. I said, bro, this is serious. He said, bro, this is dead serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already talked to the GMs, and to Joe Cronin. I already talked to the assistant GMs as well. Like, we want to get stuff going. And so we've been in that process since March, right? So when April came, I came out to a workout. I came out. It was like, Mike was like, "Hey, we're having like some guys come in for workouts. How about you just come and just check it out?" And I was like, "All right, cool, perfect." I came to the workout, saw a workout one time, and then the next day, they was like, "Yo, how about you get on the court?" And I was like, "All right, cool, I'll get on the court." So then, like, I was helping the next workout, like, was like, being on the court.
They just threw you right in the fire.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, like, first day was like, okay, I'm with the front office. Second day, like, I'm on the court. So then I'm getting, like, I'm in the interview rooms. I'm interviewing, like, the players that was like a part of the draft prospects and this and that. And I'm meeting everybody in the building. And like, it was like time for me to leave. They was like, dog, we love you. Let's really, like, get something going. So at this, like I said, at the same time, I'm like, all right, cool, but I'm still like
Yeah.
ignite.
Yeah.
You feel me? I'm still like, we got to start getting ready, with for the next season. So combine comes. I go to combine because I'm coaching the G League combine. Um, so then Chauncey hits me, like, and I've been knowing Chauncey since like 2005.
The head coach of the
Head
Blazers.
coach of the Blazers. I've been knowing Chauncey Billups, since 2005, being with Baron Davis at Joe Bonasar in Vegas. So Chauncey hits me while we in Chicago, like, hey, bro, come by the spot so we could talk about everything. And me and Chauncey talked for like 2.5 hours. We was just trying to figure out different roles and ideas. And he's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna take this back to Joe, and just get something going. So in the meantime, I'm talking to Joe, we like figuring out roles. Like, Chauncey wants me to be a part of his staff, but also Joe wanted me to be in the front office. So I came to Joe, I was like, well, how about this? Like, how about since we're about to have a new G League team, I said, how about I could just be like the assistant GM of the G League team? He was
Yeah.
like, oh, like, yo, that's a great idea. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I could be part of the player development, staff, with the Blazers, but then I could be, front office.
So
So
you came up with it, with the
yeah,
position.
like with the G League thing, I was like, yo, like, how about that? And Joe was like, bro, that would be perfect. So with this unique role, so I'm like, all right, cool. So what really got it is they was like, yo, Scoot's coming out here for a workout. Now that the pick, the lottery came out, we like, okay, you got San Antonio first, Charlotte number 2, Portland 3. And I'm like, oh my freaking gosh. So they like, well, Mike and Joe was like, hey, how about you come out here, when Scoot comes? And I was like, oh, that'd be perfect. So I get on the plane, bro. I get Scoot left from LA. So I don't even think he knew I was gonna be on the plane. So I get on the
Oh, you
plane,
were
bro.
on the same flight?
Same flight, bro. He's like knocked out. Like, he's knocked out on flight. So he didn't even see. I think I was like, yo, excuse me. I was like, yo, I woke him up like, yo, I'm trying to get through, and I had my hood on. And by the time I sat down, he's like, what? Dude, what's going on?
Wait, you sat next to him? You weren't just on the same
Oh,
flight?
bro, they put me right next to him.
That's amazing. That's
So
hilarious.
it was like, Pooh, like, so like that was, I already knew he was gonna be on the flight.
Yeah.
So we worked it like that. So he came up there. We went to Portland. Uh, watched him work out. I was able, like, to, of course, talk to him while he was working out.
Yeah.
Coming down for the water breaks. But it was like a done deal at that time. I gave him my verbal. We started doing a contract.
And then
But the thing is, I definitely don't want people to be thinking like, oh man, Pooh got the job because Scoot there. I was like,
no. And actually, I wanted to highlight, like, you're making it sound like it was seamless, which, like, it kind of was, but it was only seamless from finishing playing, jumping into the next career. Like we finished in April, and you were already meeting with the Blazers in April, right? But
Right.
but like that's because you were the king of networking. Like that's what I have here in my notes. Like the absolute king. The second, like nothing. I won't remember anything more clear, about you. Like it impressed upon me so much. Like every time someone walked into the gym this year, which there were tons of people, we had hundreds of scouts come through. Every time someone came through, you either already knew them or
Mhm.
you got to know them right then. Like right when they walked in the door, you shook their hand, you introduced yourself, you figured out who you guys knew in common. Like I thought it was incredible. Um,
Yeah.
and you hear these stories about, you're talking about who you played against in college, these coaches, who was in this workout, who was working you out. Like, everyone's name, what school they went to, what they're doing now. You've stayed in touch with them. Like, you are the absolute king of networking. So then you talk about, okay, what am I going to do next? You already know the assistant and the head GM from years
Yeah.
before, and you have a good relationship. You already know Chauncey Billups from almost 20 years,
Right.
and you fostered those relationships. So, like, I don't think anyone listening to this could ever hear it and go, "Oh, he got the job because of school." You got the job because you know everybody, and
Come on,
because
bro.
you started positioning yourself like early on just by having good relationships with everyone.
Right. And the beauty of it is, like you gotta think like if you look at my career, right? Like I did 5 years of summer league. So a lot of those people like who are at summer league, like I always kept in contact with.
Yeah,
Like so then of course when I get to China in 2012, like I'm in China from 2012 all the way to 2020. So like I
you
was
could have just
missing.
disappeared.
Right. And like going to Ignite sparked it back up, bro. Like now I'm back with Ignite and word of mouth will always be the best marketing.
Yeah,
Like when I have a brand like as a person, like people talk. People talk. So, that's one of the main things is like I love relationships. I love it. Like I love relationships, bro, because I always tell people like, yo, you gotta make sure that people are saying good things about you when you're not in the room.
yeah,
And on top of that, you know what I love too, like city, like I had teams, bro. I had teams. I had Washington Wizards, I had it was Minnesota and Utah, bro. Like I had people like, yo, like City Sissoko or Leonard Miller or school, man, these dudes are saying great things about you, bro. Like they're stopping me. I'm like, dang, for real. So the word got out, and I love talking to people. So things was always in the works. Like I love bringing people together. But I knew like being with Ignite, I made sure that I was coaching at every NBA event. So I'm with Sharif Abdurrahim and JR, and I'm like, and now like Rod Strickland and Anthony McClish, I'm like, yo, what's going on? I need to be part of BWB. I need to be an NBA Academy. It's not just about Ignite. It's not just about the young, like about the draft prospects. It's about everybody. And they were putting me in every situation.
but that's because you asked, right?
I
All you had to
yes.
do was ask, and they were willing to do it.
Okay, cool. Okay, you're gonna do NBA Top 100. Okay, you're gonna be at NBA Academy. Okay, you're gonna be part of all the
The
events.
combine, at the All Star event,
Come on.
at everything.
Everything. Like so, and one thing people kept on saying is, bro, you're everywhere.
Right.
Dang, you're everywhere. Yeah, I am. And then it gets to the point with Ignite, they need us, right? They calling us about our prospects. So as they're calling and you're getting in contact and you sharing information, like that builds something. They're like, dang, okay,
Right.
like because like it's a need.
Right.
Um, but that's how I really started like getting in the game, as in just networking and just getting with people and talking.
Right.
Like so I'll tell yourself and John and everybody, yo, we're in this position. Ignite is probably the perfect transition into something. I saw with Jared Jack. Jared Jack was playing and then he went straight into coaching with the Phoenix Suns with Monty Williams. He came from Ignite and went straight into coaching. I'm with Ignite and went straight into like front office and basketball. So like if
It's
you're like
literally a job that you created. Like
right,
not
so
only
I'm
is
a
it
player
nice,
coach.
the one you created. Yeah.
Right, I'm a player coach with Ignite for 2 years, and then I'm in this unique role of like having a dual role of being in the front office of a new G League team, which is playing at my school at University of Portland.
Yeah.
And then and that was another beauty. Like when Portland reached out, I Portland's my second home.
Right.
Like I matured here from ages 18 to 22.
Right.
So that was the one thing. Like, and I'm so thankful, man. I'm so thankful for Sharif Abdul Rahim and my boy Jason Hart. Like this is like Coach Jason Hart. Like this is like Hita. You feel me? Like he
Yeah.
really looked out for me, right? And I cried, bro. Like I cried, because I was like, dang, my career's in like my career's ending, which was amazing career. It was like tears of joy, but also like I'm able to go back home to Portland,
Right.
and do some great
Kind of
things.
full circle.
Right, and now I'm back with Scoot,
Right.
so that's like even more like dang God,
Right.
like wow, like
I
this
did.
really
Who
like
did?
I did. You feel me? So like that was like the beauty of this, right? It's like, yo, like, man, just go out in life and just, man, like Nike has the best thing, like the best, right? Just do it, right? And I say Russell Westbrook's, why not? Like
Right.
you feel me? Like it's like
And
up
why
there.
not me? Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like, like I said, like I give God all the credit, and I just want to just continue to, like really like I would say like never tire of doing the right things, right?
Right. One thing that I loved you said, someone told, I'm sure multiple people told you this, that you're everywhere. I literally heard this quote today. I was just trying to search it up. I don't know who said it. I'm going to be so pissed. I can't think of it. I was listening to a podcast. They were actually talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography and his documentary that's come out. I haven't watched it. I heard it's great. But he quotes someone. So for now, I'll just say it was Arnold that said it. But he basically like his life was summed up, or at least like his aspirations when he was getting started was, if I do everything, how can I lose? Like everything over the top. I'm everywhere. I'm doing everything possible. Like in my 16 hours of the day, or I'm sure for him it was, he extended that to 18 hours. Like if I do everything that pertains to what I want to be later on in life, like how could I ever lose? Like I'm going to end up in the right spot. And you've done that. We've touched on it for the coaching, and we've touched on it for the basketball side. You've done a lot of other things though, like to prepare for this transition. Like even if you weren't staying in sports, you'd be good because you've done other things. I want to hear about those other things, the other side, like off the court things. You have your own training, you have the BCA, and you also have Laced. I mean, I might be missing something, but I want to hear about those things because you're not just like, you could be doing a number of things because you set yourself up in so many different ways. So let's hear about the other ways you could have gone.
Right. So like I would say like 6 years ago, my partner, JB and I, we opened up our own shoe clothing store, right? So my dad, so I'm the third generation. So my grandpa had his own barber shop, right? And my dad had his own, like he had a couple business, but like he had his own record store, right? So I knew like when it was time, I said, okay, I have basketball, but I know I'm supposed to be doing something in business. And my parents always tell me like, yo, like, okay, what do you love? And in high school, even though we wore uniforms, I was best dressed. Yes, like it was a
As
model show. It was a model show every free dress day. Like, like like oh my God. But in uniforms, you always have to have the best shoes, you have the nice backpack or like a nice belt, right? so um like I would say like once I like really knew, I was like, okay, I want to start opening my business. We decided to have Lace. Lace is a shoe clothing boutique in Lawndale. It's not too far from like LAX airport. It's right there in the South Bay. The South Bay is what's missing, like this type of boutique. Everybody wants to go to Melrose or go out like Hollywood area to open up their stores, but it was nothing for like for the people in the South Bay
yeah,
where I'm from. So we ended up having LACE. LACE stands for, the acronym is Los Angeles Creates Endless Dreams. And we ended up doing that. You know, so we have lace, of course, so that allows me to be in fashion, right? So uh, I ended up getting this house in LA that I turned into it's like a studio house, right? So like for labels, I partnered with my guy Matthew McNeil. He's the vice president of A&R for Warner Records, and ended up partnering up with other A&Rs. So as I found out, I was like, okay, like wow, a studio house. So we have it's like a 3 bedroom, 3 bath. We got the music studio, like really like in the inside the house. Then like the garage, we turned into like a studio B, and it's really for artists to come in to work on their projects. So that was another avenue. So I was like, okay, that allows me to be in music. So we have fashion, we have music, and then of course, myself and Coach Jason Hart, we're the co-founders. We brought back the Black Coaches Association, right? And that was like something that sparked from a conversation with me and Jay Hart. It was more during this time of George Floyd, and a lot of things was happening, and he was venting to me. He was venting to me because like at this time and still now, uh, there's no black head coach in the Pac-12 men's basketball, right? Like, and there's other conferences like that too as well. It's like, dang, how does a Power Five with 85% of the players being African American, like how they don't have a black head coach, So, but he was putting me up on game on the Black Coach Association of like before, like when John Thompson and Nolan Richardson and George Raveling and John dang the coach at Temple. Oh my gosh, I forgot John
Yes, please.
Cheney. They was like the forefront of it, and so like that they were like the forefront of the Black Coach Association. Something happened to it financially, and then it disappeared, right? And then I'm really into like trademarks, so I ended up seeing that it was available on trademark. Hit up my lawyer, and I'm like, "Yo, we got to get it." And ended up getting a trademark for the Black Coach Association. And all we're doing is, and as I found out, bro, like there are like other associations. There's an Asian Coach Association. There's a Latino Coach Association. There's a Jewish Coach Association. There are a lot of other coach associations. So when people hear like, oh, like probably as we started off, like Black Coach Association, what about the other ones? They're there. There are other coaches, but so like I just don't want people like to because the people have these ideas, right? It's like, like one thing, and I really want to do. I just want to make sure coaches in our community are prepared, for the opportunity because we don't really get the opportunity. So we have coaches not just in basketball. We have track and field, football, baseball, swimming, golf, soccer. We have so many coaches, right? So our database is growing like crazy, and even with Lace, right? Lace, as I found, as you're going in things like as you start having your own business, then things start happening.
And they
Like
start crossing over.
yeah, you start seeking things, and then it's like, wow, like a list came out. It's like only like 25 black-owned businesses in the world that have like a Nike contract, and I'm one of them. So it's like, oh, okay, like that's a great thing to have and be a part of. So, but one of the main things is just like I said, like I just have these ideas, and I just want to just make things happen. And but the beauty of it is I have a great team. Like we have a great team that's able. I'm able to do what I'm doing. Right. I'm able to do what I'm doing, but I have a team back home that's like
That's taking care of everything while you're gone.
managing and making it do what it do.
So, what is your like advice? I want to hear like when you're talking to Ethan and EJ, your boys, when you're talking to guys that could, ignite. You obviously have a lot of interaction with like young athletes, right? So, do you ever bring this side up and talk about like what they need to be thinking about, like how
Sure.
they can position yourself the way or themselves the way you have yourself? Like, what do you tell them? How do they make that leap? Like, how do they turn ideas into real concrete things that happen?
And that's another thing that we have. Like, so I partnered up with Darrell Wright. He has a brand called Hometown Favorites, right? And like 4 years ago, we started getting with the youth. Like I had a trainer before, but then I like started like I said, I told my trainer at that time, I said, you know what? I'm gonna really start diving in and getting with the youth because this is what we're supposed to be doing. Hometown favorites. Can you imagine all the people who made it out of your city, that's CEOs and this and that? Like the kids need that information. So I always like advice, I like give people like, yo, go back into your community, man, because the kids right now are not even going to ask for money. The money that they're asking for is information, right? So it's just ways for us to like come and give back information. So a lot of these youth that's playing basketball now, right? A lot of them are not going to be pros. But the thing is like we're supposed to share our experiences,
Yeah.
so they could be better than us. That's the whole part. Iron sharpens iron, right? And we got to make sure if we want to be refreshed, we got to make sure that others are refreshed. Like that's the whole point of life. So my main thing is like as we're going through this, so now we're pro players. Basketball's an income. We need like 5 to 6 other streams of income to really be able to sleep well at night. So I'm telling the youth now, like, okay, basketball that's great. All right, cool. But what else? Like, okay, you want to get a Benz? How you going to get it?
Yeah.
Like, how you going to get it?
Because
Like,
chances are you're not going to get it through basketball.
so what else? It has to be something else to spark your interest. So now, as we're like gathering like information, like I have people coming in, especially NIL, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the thing about NIL is like a lot of the youth don't even know, like you still got to pay taxes on it. Okay, like so I'm bringing in them experts to come in and teach that. Like, dang, do they need to know about LLCs, right? Like they need to know about these things. Like people preach about financial literacy and all that. Well, come on, let's go in and teach this.
Yeah.
Like so you get with people and that's what we want to do with the hometown favorites as well. Like we want to go and go around to like to every city around the world, like and get with those people who made it out. It's like, yo, let's come back because the youth need this information. Let's make sure that they're taken care of. Like that's what God said, right? You gotta take care of the children, right? Like so, like as you continue to take care of the children, everything else is going to like happen great for
I
you.
want to know. All right. So you get this off the ground. You start going around different cities. You hit on financial literacy, which has been like a big theme in this podcast, right? Like we spoke with Harrison Barnes, and he said a problem he sees like in the NBA and just like in the world in general is people try and prove that they're smart and that they know what they're doing with their money and they know how to grow it, like because it's kind of like there's like these hot topics and everyone wants to act like they know what they're doing, right? So like investing in stocks, investing in startups, like whatever it is, like people want to prove that they can build a portfolio, right? And he's like, before you do that, like you need to know what they're even talking about. You need to get financially literate. You need to be able to tell what is a good business, what's a bad business. You need to be able to read all those, data sheets and go through Excel and find those numbers and actually interpret them. So as you start going around and touring and helping kids with financial literacy, like what's going to be the first thing that you, knowing what you know now, are going to tell like kids, like something you wish you would have learned a little bit earlier about like being financially literate, about building a business? Like what's the one thing, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well,
You could
like
you could tell Ethan or EJ or these kids are going to go meet, or even a younger Pooh if you had a time machine. Like, how can you be even more prepared? You've obviously you're going to be fine. You've landed on your feet. You figured it out along the way. Is there something that could have even accelerated that if you knew it at a younger age?
my gosh, like I tell them all the time, like even your case, right? Like were they even having classes like as you're growing up about financial literacy?
Yeah, no, no.
Like that's my thing. It's like you can get a real estate license at 16 years old. Like so it's like what are you really preparing me on? Like it's like so
In
like
school,
with
you mean? In school.
in school, like what are you like how are we getting prepared? Like we should be learning this stuff early on. Like and now like the thing now is to be an entrepreneur, right? So when it comes to like business, like with me, how I was able to do it, like bro, like I had to save. You feel me? Like I didn't. I just wanted my money to be put up, you know. And at one point when I just started doing it, I said, man, I didn't care. Like the stuff was in my Bank of America, bro. And until I started like getting with people, and then
That's
they
smart though.
started,
Yeah.
yeah, like just started teaching me things, like right. So like as I was being taught about okay, getting the trust and getting these type of things, like okay, cool, like, but at the same time, like I had a team, and I'm still learning, bro. I'm still learning. I'm still learning about how my money is definitely being spent. So with EJ and Ethan, it's like okay, just know that whatever money that we're getting, just know that it's going to get taxed, right? And just like not and learning not to have things in your name, like especially like if you want to get into real estate or this and that, like just put things in your trust. I saw a soccer player. He was very smart. I think he had everything in his mom's name.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
You remember, like I was
Yeah.
like, dang, that was pretty brilliant. Like I think somebody was trying to like sue him. Was it like
Yeah.
his
Someone's trying to
wife?
swindle him out of that money.
Right, and he was like, "Ah, don't have nothing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't." So I would say like that is just now, like bro, like the internet is like the answers, right? So like are now like getting these books on things like, so I would just suggest like as we continue to learn, like we just do as much research it is,
Yeah.
right? Like just research and
Just
just
be
find,
like, just it sounds like just be curious, and
yeah,
then be willing to at least do a little bit of research and see if you want to follow that or not. Like,
right,
I think what
right.
you're saying is right on. Like, all the resources are on YouTube or Google at this point. Like, seriously,
My
you
gosh,
can
like
find it all. So if you hear something you don't understand or you want to know more about something, like, yeah, exactly, type it in.
oh, oh, that's what like, bro. The it's amazing how the internet is, bro.
Yeah,
like, like now, and all of them, everybody's on their phone.
yeah.
Everybody, everybody is on their phone, so it's easy for you to research. And but at the same time, it's great to get with people who have experienced the things that you're trying to do.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How do you do that? Right?
Well,
How do you
hopefully,
find the right people, and then how do you connect with them? I think today
well,
it's easier than ever, right? So, what
for
do you
sure.
suggest?
So I would like I I have mentors from people who I just read books on. Like even though I don't know them, they can still be my mentor. Because of just like really just reading and finding the information, and like whoever that author is that wrote it, like dang, that is good.
It's the same thing
Like
they tell you if you met them in person.
right, like for real, bro. Like so, it's like those are like mentors. Mentors are key, right? But like I said, by me being who I am, it was pretty, me becoming a pro player. I was able to like, reach out to people, and me knowing, some pretty high level people, that was the easy part. So my part, of course, as I became a pro is going to be like the easy part for me is going to be the hard part for other people, right? But at the same time, your mentors still could be the people that you like if you really want to find out, like read their books.
Yeah,
Like as you're like reading and learning, and then you're putting that into your reality,
yeah,
right? So
that's
you
awesome.
know, just how life is now, man. Like everything we're on this phone all the time, bro.
Right. So use
You
it,
know,
put it to good use. Um,
that's it.
one more question before I kind of go into like our little final segment. Um, I wanted to ask you this earlier, right? You kind of had some roadblocks along the way. Everyone does. You probably had more than most. Playing 17 years, you've seen it all, right? Was there a point where you wanted to give up? Like not retiring, right? Like you are now. I wouldn't. Obviously, that's not giving up. That's wrapping it up in an incredible way. Was there a point where you're like, man, this is too much. I'm over this. Never.
Ever.
How? How is that possible? Yeah, I want to hear that explained.
So, bro, like I would say, man, I had an amazing career, bro. It was amazing. Like, I didn't really go into no situations of not getting money. Like, um, China was probably like the best thing because I was in China for like 5 months out the year, 5 to 6, if that. So like then I'll be at home. Like so I'm like, so it wasn't really like a time. Uh, you know what? Like, nah, I didn't think I didn't want to retire or nothing, but like my last year in Ukraine before I got to Ignite, bro, like that was like the most craziest thing ever because if people don't know out there, like I have a Ukraine, you know, like passport. I have a citizenship of Ukraine. You know,
Eugene
yeah, like
Jeter.
Eugene, and it's crazy. Like Eugene is like an Eastern Europe name, so it fit. But that's just another story. But I got hurt in Ukraine, right? And I was like playing on a bad hamstring, and I was there probably for like 2 months, right? And I was like, yo, like this is weak, like my hamstring and this and that. I was also kind of mad because I wasn't back in China. And the thing is, I never got hurt. Like I never really got hurt, bro. Like I played so many games. Like I really didn't miss games like that. But when my mind wasn't there, like my mind wasn't like when I finally got to the NBA, right? This is 2010, 2011. Finished my season with Sacramento. They had the lockout in 2011. I ended up going to Spain playing for Barcelona, and I wasn't there, like because man, I worked so hard to get to the league,
I just got there.
and then they locked us out. Like they locked us out. They won't let me out. Like I got locked up, man. so at
Well,
that
Lakon.
at that point, I go to Europe, I go to Spain, didn't sign an NBA out. You feel me? Like, mind you, like I made more money than I was going to make in the league anyway. But at the same time, I wish I would have got an NBA out. I wish I would have put that in my contract, bro. And like, so like that was messing with my mind because once you like finally get to where you want to go, it's like okay, you
You
see
got
where
one
you
shot.
you see you belong, bro. Like it's like, oh, bro, I can for sure play in this, and then I got locked out and I messed up my hamstring. Bro, I messed up my hamstring during that season. Now, like luckily, Barcelona had the patience for me to heal up. And because we was only playing one game a week, so I think I missed probably like 3 weeks because of a hamstring, right? But then I get to the Dnipro in Ukraine. Wish I was still in China because, bro, I was trying to get up to like 10 years in China. And and the thing is, I went to China, like I experienced the COVID situation, like yourself, right? You was there. Were you there during the
There,
COVID?
20,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
2019.
went through the COVID, went back, did the quarantine for two
Bubble.
weeks. Good,
Yeah,
good, good, did the bubble. Like, no, the thing is, I didn't even get a chance to do the like playing the bubble, like because they kept on postponing the season. So imagine I did the whole 2 weeks couldn't leave my hotel room at all. But at the same time, I was staying busy because I was doing interviews for like I was on ESPN. I was doing interviews with everybody,
yeah.
like talking about it. They ended up like I ended up getting out 2 weeks later. We're practicing myself and Ty Lawson. We're practicing with our team. They ended up kept on postponing the season, and I'm like, yo, like if you just gonna keep postponing, like man, just send me back home, man. Send me back home, and then they started the season probably like 2 months later, and I'm glad I didn't stay because like players was there for like probably like a year,
Yeah, that's
and they couldn't get nobody. Nobody couldn't fly in. So imagine me not being able to see my family for a year. Like so, like that was a sign. Like I was like, man, get out of there. I get out of there. So when I got to Ukraine, messed up my hamstring because my mind wasn't there. And then got with Ignite, and that was like the
the rest
best
is
thing
history.
for me, bro. You feel me? That was the best thing for me.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna go into our last segment, which is rapid fire. I just want to
Oh man!
rapid fire with
Oh,
the
rapid fire. Ooh, ooh,
remix.
ooh. Remix.
GM of the remix. Who's the funniest teammate you've ever had?
Funniest teammate I've ever had. Wow, man. Dang, funniest teammate I ever had.
Maybe you can give us the top three.
Dante Green was pretty funny with
Where'd you
Sacramento
play
Kings.
with him? With the Kings.
Sacramento who else, man? Funniest teammate. Hey, Mike Beasley was amazing, bro.
You
I had
got
Mike
play
Beasley
with him
with
in
me
China, right?
in Shandong, man. Like he is very interesting, man. Like we'll talk about everything, like from God to pimps uh to science to bro, like
What
we'll
a
be all over
range!
the
What a
place.
range!
Like I'm like dang, how did we get here? Like it
Yeah,
was just us.
that's awesome.
Um Dang, freshman. I know my first year in the D League, that was fun, man. I had Elton Brown, Jerusalem. I had like Kevin Pickney. Man, I had some characters,
Sounds
man.
like it.
Uh,
That long, you're gonna run into some characters.
yes, and of course, you have yourself. Like then you have. But I had some funny guys, man.
It's awesome. All right, next one. Walk us through a play that lives rent free in your head, like a play that you play over and over and over. I want to hear it as detailed as you can think of, like where you were, the play drawn up, the score, the how you
Um,
felt after. Like maybe it was a play with the Kings, maybe it was like a game winner somewhere else. Could have been the one from this year.
which one? Which one from this year?
Did you hit a game winner or like a
It was
game?
like something like that.
It wasn't a
Yeah.
buzzer beater, but yeah. Anyways, what's the play?
Uh,
Walk us through it as if you're
Dang.
commentating.
I would say I'm trying to think of something with the Kings, right? I never forget when we played LeBron, right? LeBron's first year. My first year with the Kings was LeBron first year
Yeah.
with the Heat, right? Mind you, I've been knowing LeBron probably like I knew him like probably 2 years before that because I was supposed to go to camp with the Cavs. So we like ended up having like a pretty dope, like relationship. I say a bond or whatever you want to say, like friendship. So he's bro, he's coming down. Like first of all, like if you've ever been on the court with LeBron, like he turns into like the Incredible Hulk. Like as soon as he gets to you, he's like Wah! Right, and then like he's going, bro, and I'm at the free throw line, and he runs me over. And he runs me over, bro. And I took a charge, bro. I took a charge because I see how he was going, and I was just like, I'm just gonna take this charge,
You
bro.
took the try. They called it.
Yes, I flew into the pad. I'm at the free throw line. I flew into the pad underneath the basket, bro. And he was like, "Dang, Pooh, you my dog though." You feel me? And I was like, "Dang, like I can't believe I just did that." Like, but that was an experience. I think playing with the Ukraine national team was probably like one of the best experiences like in my life too.
Qualifying for the World Cup, right?
Yeah, like, and this is like I remember qualifying for the World Cup. Like, bro, we were supposed to be finished like 24 teams. We were supposed to be finished like last, and we ended up being like top six to qualify for the World Cup. Right. So we get to the World Cup, and we play against Team USA. Right, and like that was probably one of the most amazing experiences right there because DeMar DeRozan's on the team, James Harden, Steph Curry and Kyrie
Kyrie.
Irving,
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins. I think I don't know if you guys heard this story, but so a lot of my friends are on the USA team, and I played with DeMarcus Cousins. Me and DeMarcus Cousins were on the same team in Sacramento. We're both rookies together, but I was a 27-year-old rookie while he was like the 19-year-old. So we're on the same team. So we're warming up. Oh, warming up. Boom. And DeMarcus Cousins at the half court line, he like, Pooh! And I'm like not paying attention to him. I'm like warming up and I'm just, being focused. He's like, Pooh! And I'm like, dang, like what does he want? But I'm not gonna look. And he's like, Pooh! You ain't no goddamn Ukrainian. And I look back and I said, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Why would you say that? Like we're in Bilbao, Spain, bro. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, if looking around, people heard him. He was like, I love you, boy. I knew that would get your attention. And then I'm like, ooh, like
That's
how
amazing.
Seinfeld was with Newman, like Newman, you know. That was like my thought with him, right? So then like people like DeMar and James, like I remember Kyrie was like we was at the free throw line, like somebody was shooting free throw. He was like, Pooh, what? How did you get this? Like, bro, you're
Why are you here?
why are you playing with the Ukraine national team, bro? And like that was like probably one of the best feelings because like
They all
I
know
was
you.
I was like their scouting. I was on their scouting report.
Yeah,
Like
that's pretty cool.
Team USA job was to stop me. Like, and these are the best players in the world. Like, so imagine like me playing that same person that played on the freshman team and that same person who didn't play AU or wasn't ranked. Fast forward into boom, like being on like the main scout for Team USA.
It's pretty cool.
Like that was like that's like a tremendous blessing. So yeah, it was I had some game winners. Like I remember like playing in Limoges. We were like in a championship game. We didn't have our best player, Adrian Mormon, who was like a real good player, bro.
Yeah, great player.
And I went on in like a roll of like scoring like 9 points in a row for us to
I
like.
think someone sent that to the group chat recently.
Yeah,
It
like
might
that
have
was
been
like.
me.
But I remember like I was like shooting and like I was like I couldn't. I was like, dang, like I'm really making these. Like I thought low key was like crying while I was like making shots.
Awesome. Well, that's a basketball city, so they were probably loving it.
Or like I'm like like
You're
in
God there.
Limoges, me going to Limoges, they would go ham, right?
Pooh
So hopefully
Jeter.
I can get a. Oh yeah, they
Um,
called me Jeter for sure.
last question. Actually, yeah, last real question. Give me your all LA starting five, all time.
Ooh-wee.
This is gonna be a TikTok reel. It's gonna blow up.
Okay, starting five. Uh, that I've seen with my own eyes. Correct. Okay.
Sure.
My
And start when you start. Say starting five. Say LA all time starting five. Just so
my
people.
Los Angeles starting five, all time. Right. My point guard would be Baron Davis. Right. Baron Davis would be my point guard. My two guard for sure will be Gilbert Arenas. Right. Gilbert. My three. It'd be a toss up, man. Like I didn't see Paul Pierce in high school, right? But I did see Paul, of course. As a
With
like.
Boston.
So I would say my three would be Paul Pierce,
Yeah.
right? All time, right? But if I'm doing high school, it'd be like Tayshaun Prince. Um, but my four would be I always say like Craig Smith. Craig Smith, the Rhino, man. Craig Smith was incredible. And I picked Craig Smith because we played on the same AU team and when we were like 12, 13, and he was like sloppy fat and didn't have confidence. Like and just didn't have the confidence and but we saw the potential and then he turned into like this beast in high
The
school.
Rhino.
The Rhino, right? Uh, him and D'Angelo Collins would be like, my four, but I would say Craig Smith, and then my five, of course, would be Tyson
Tyson
Chandler.
Chandler, who I saw on vacation. I texted you. I was like,
Oh
hey.
yeah, did you end up talking to him?
No, I didn't. I lost it.
You didn't do it.
No, I should have taken advantage when I saw him, but I was like, I had to confirm that I had an in to go talk to him. I should have, but missed chance.
Uh,
We'll get him on the pod. No big deal. Pudonis Jeter, an absolute legend on and off the court. Cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. I think what you've done getting from, you talked about being 5'4" on the freshman team and then ending up in the NBA taking charges from LeBron, playing 17 years, but also on the side, building companies, building businesses, building teams that now you're not scared to jump into whatever it is. Ending up with an NBA front office job. I mean, like, pretty unbelievable what you've done and the balance that you've created. I really, really hope that the listeners can learn something from this and can just take one more step, like can apply all these, all these nuggets of knowledge that you've given us with your experience of on and off the court. Again, I love you like a brother. This last year was one of the funniest years of my life playing with you. So cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, man.
Bro, freaking love you, freaking proud of you. Man, I'm so excited for like what you're doing. Like even with the internship, bro. Like even when you told me you was doing an internship, I was like, bro, like continue to set yourself up,
Yeah.
and now you're doing a podcast and you're getting back healthy, bro. Like I am rooting for you, bro. You feel me? So love you, man. Shoot, love seeing you be a dad and a husband. You feel me? Like, bro, like just keep it going, and even like finding out about your story of you going on your mission and this and that, like, bro, that's amazing. And coming back from your mission and you freaking like averaging 20 and this and that, like, bro, like what? So who you are is a true inspiration. You feel me?
Appreciate it,
So,
though.
man, keep up the great work.
Man, I'll see you down in Vegas in like a week and a half.
Come on, bro.
All right.
Like,
Come on
hey,
now.
come on now.
Come on now.